My name is Nancy McNally, and I am on the American in Bloom Board of Directors. I can't see you. I can't. Anyway, I am so glad that you all are here. What a beautiful, beautiful day. On behalf of American in Bloom, our president, and Garrity, we'd like to extend a warm welcome to our mayor, Linda Gorton. Excuse me. Council members and members of our board and our special guest here today, and as all of our community friends. We're so happy that you could join us. We have a wonderful program, and I'm so glad you could take some time out of your busy schedules. Thank you for distancing, wearing your masks, and being good citizens. We are so glad you're here. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Ann Garrity, and please enjoy the program. Thank you.
Greetings, welcome, and thank you so much for coming out today. Can you hear me all right? Okay. I want to recognize the board members of American Bloom who have been with us for years, and I would like them to sort of stand and wave your hand if you've got, so there's Susan Craddock and Nancy and Paul Swovland and Laura Farrell, and Susan Craddock is around, and Doris and Mary Taylor. I hope I got everyone. I also want to thank our government representatives who have come today. Jennifer Mossotti we're in her district, the 9th district. James Brown is in the 1st district, and Mark Swanson is here from the 3rd district. We are grateful for your participation. What are we celebrating today? Well, we have 2 big deals to celebrate. The first big deal is that our board of directors is proud to announce the 4th annual American Bloom Community Champion. Before COVID-19, the annual breakfast that we have is where we would have announced the winner. That would be back in March. But 6 months later, we are here outside in this beautiful day, in this beautiful setting to celebrate. It is my sincere pleasure to announce to you the 2020 recipient of the Isabel Yates Community Champion Award, and that is Yvonne Giles. And there she is. Before we call you to the podium, I want to say that with us today are previous community champions, Isabel Yates, for whom the award is named in 2017, and Liz Pattengill, the 2019 recipient, who is responsible for the Lexington in Bloom, which is a different organization, curb appeal contest every 2 years. And Lexingtonians love that. They get us confused with Lexington in Bloom all the time, and I just enjoy it. And then many of you know that Marcia Ferris, who was our 2018 award winner, that was given in memoriam because she died too soon, a few months ahead of that. But with her today, in her memory, is her friend and my friend, Mike Nichols, her partner in crime since their undergraduate days at Transylvania University. So I want to thank all of you for your efforts, and I know our community is much better off because of the roles that you have played, and Marcia, in the Arboretum and Lexington in Bloom, and just the whole downtown beautification efforts that Isabel championed forever, in addition to other things she's done. Moving on, here to help us honor Yvonne Giles is our dear Mayor, Linda Gorton. Many of you know, you can come up and hear the rest. I talk to her like I bossed her around at times.
She does.
I lost my place. many of you may know that our organization was seated out of the Arboretum, out of a lecture committee there. And when we had this opportunity to join American Bloom, we went to then Vice Mayor Linda Gorton in 2013, and she encouraged us to participate in their judging process. And she served on our board until she was elected mayor. So she knows American Bloom well. She has helped guide its development. And so I invite Mayor Gorton and Isabel Yvonne Giles to the podium.
Thank you so much, Anne. I am very at home with America in Bloom, and want to thank all my friends here at America in Bloom Lexington. You have made such an incredible difference in our community, and you've made Lexington more beautiful. And I can tell you that our citizens notice, and they love it. Because of America in Bloom, Lexington has an official flower, the purple cone flower. And children have the opportunity to learn about planting it and growing it. Because of America in Bloom, we have a beautiful downtown walking tour, highlighting landscapes and our history. Because of America in Bloom, our work to beautify our city has won national recognition. And because of America in Bloom, some of our most dedicated community champions are being recognized. These are people who have made our city a wonderful place to live by just rolling up their sleeves and doing the hard work, right? I think being named an Isabel Yates Community Champion is quite an honor. I've known Isabel now a long time, and she has always been a role model for many of us. So now that we have an opportunity to recognize another community champion, Yvonne Giles, let's get to it. Yvonne is our city's foremost expert on local African American history. Our city should be forever grateful to you, Yvonne, for your dedicated research and for sharing your vast knowledge of our community's heritage. It's now my pleasure to read the citation, and I'll ask Yvonne if she'll join me here. The America in Bloom model of beautification is at heart a model for civic vitality, which values not only nature, but also environmental sustainability, historic preservation, and community engagement. Today, we honor Yvonne Giles for her tireless efforts in historic preservation to discover and celebrate the lives of those buried at the African Cemetery No. 2. Following retirement as a sales rep traveling across Kentucky, Yvonne was drawn to the neglected condition of that cemetery, which is on 7th Street. Her first efforts to clean up and right the fallen headstones led to curiosity about the lives of the souls buried there. She discovered military burials of Civil War Union soldiers, many from Camp Nelson, and jockeys from the earliest years of horse racing in Kentucky. From that start, Yvonne has almost single-handedly revealed and honored the lives of individuals buried in the cemetery. In doing so, she has enabled so many of us to appreciate the immense contributions of people of color as soldiers, jockeys, businessmen and women, mothers and fathers. There is so much more to be said about this determined woman who spends a part of nearly every day at the cemetery or the Lexington Library's special collections. I hope you will take time to search online for African Cemetery Number 2 and follow some of the links that you will find there. You, like we, will be awed and grateful to Yvonne for unearthing literally stories and stories of past lives of many Lexington citizens. One thing you might read is that well over 6,000 men, women, and children are buried in these 8 acres, and there are no further burials there. However, Yvonne will tell you that weekly and at all hours, she welcomes families from adjoining counties and states whose mothers or fathers' dying wish was to be buried in Lexington at African Cemetery Number 2. To you, Yvonne, who has contributed so much knowledge to our community, we thank you. We honor you for your contribution to Lexington and Fayette County. Thank you so much and congratulations. Now, to you. Okay, there it is.
Our pleasure. There's some extra copies behind it. So.
Yes, congratulations. Yes, of course.
So you make a couple of marks, and I'll get the flowers we have here.
Congratulations.
This is, I still have to take off my mask now. This is absolutely wonderful. It will go on my wall today. I promise to get it up today, not put away, with all of the other awards that I have received for my work in the community. I feel just truly honored to be in the same company with Miss Yates. I've seen her around so many times, and it amazes me. She's a role model, as we all know, because she still keeps going, right? And I truly, it is an inspiration, because there are days when you feel like, I don't want to do this, but she keeps going, so all the rest of us will too. I want to accept this award on behalf of other people who have come before me. The cemetery board asks me all the time, have you been in the cemetery talking to those people? And I tell them, no, they talk to me and I listen. Without our descendants, our African descendants, who had a vision to form this cemetery in 1869, I would not be here telling their story. We are here because of them. We honor them. We tell their stories because they did leave stories in records, newspapers, wills, deeds, histories from churches and from schools, and family history. And that's how I got started, looking for my own family in the cemetery. Their monuments were there, including a monument of 2 women who our family talked about, but nobody knew anything about them. Their names were on a monument in Cemetery Number 2, and that hooked me. I've been there for 20 years, and will be going there until I can't go anymore. One of the other projects that I have been involved in is the Cove Haven Cemetery, which is a later organization, 1907. I've been working there now for 2 years, and I just do the same thing there as I have done in Number 2. Restoring it, making sure the weeds are cut, the trash is picked up, and assisting families with burials, as well as locating those who have been in that cemetery now for 120 years. It's where I was today before I arrived. It's just something that is part of my DNA. I don't fight it, I accept it, and I truly appreciate all of you recognizing the crazy cemetery lady, because I do get on my roll and talk way too much sometimes. But I want to give a nod and a thank you to the men on our board, Dr. Mark Cohen, Alan Hetzel, Charles Washington, former Thomas Munday, Bruce Munday, Sonny Claiborne, and the countless number of other individual volunteers and groups who have come along and rescued the urban wilderness that was Cemetery Number 2 more than 20 years ago. And you've all seen how it looked, weeds above your head. It is a beautiful, peaceful, tranquil place that accepts visitors, runners, walkers, bikers, and just anybody who wants to sit and absorb the tranquility that's that place. So thank you for myself and for all of those who came before me. It's a beautiful day. Thank you. Oh, beautiful. That was beautiful.
If this were March, we would have a big fat bouquet of daffodils. So we wondered, what should we do? Should we get silk daffodils? Because underneath this, there are 3,000 daffodil bulbs. And then we said, wait a second, we have all these zinnias here. So you get zinnias.
Thank you. I love zinnias.
I love them too. Great.
Thank you.
I would hug you if I could.
I know, we all want a hug. Yes, hug.
That was a pretty big deal, wasn't it? That was a big deal, wasn't it? We've got part 2 of the program. The other big deal is that to let you know a little bit about this daffodil drift, we have planted in 3 years over 3,000 daffodil bulbs beginning in 2017 to honor our first 3 community champions. And we credit Susan Dale, a founding member of AIB Lex, for coming up with the idea of planting a flower drift to honor recipients. We loved it. Our parks representative at the time, Kathy Mobley, suggested Wellington Park for this hillside's location because of its proximity to New Circle Road, as well as the walking path and the dog parks. The middle, there's 3 different varieties here. In the middle was the first one planted, and those are Isabel's daffodils. To the your far right is are Marcia's daffodils, and on the far left, of my left, over here, are Liz's daffodils. We feel like we have completed our task here. And so we're having discussions about where the next drift should go. And so and then we're going to unveil the sign for this drift. That's the other big deal, is we finally, after 3 years, have a sign here. Before we unveil the sign, I would like to first invite Jennifer Mossotti, who's council member for the 9th District, to come up and tell you a little bit about the history of this land. And then we'll hear from our Parks Director, Monica Conrad.
Well, welcome to the best kept secret in Lexington, the Wellington Park and the Women's Garden. It's a beautiful day, and I welcome you here. And again, this is a wonderful event. In 1997, under the guidance of Vice Mayor Isabel Yates, I became a council member. My first task was to do a zone change with 500 acres, as you see here. Part of the development process was long and pretty arduous, but we had a lot of community volunteers and help. And when we asked the development company if we could have some land, they said, sure, you can have that 40 acres of scrubland here. So I said to Isabel, I said to Dolores Taramina and Joanne Bell, who are recognized here, Victoria Meyer, my walking buddy, I said, we've got some land here and we've got to do something with it. And look what we've done with it today because of women community volunteers. It's unbelievable. We've got not only the garden, the first woman's garden in Lexington, we have the first woman's statue in Lexington here, and we have a beautiful dog park. And so I couldn't be prouder to represent this area. In fact, I don't know where Victoria is. There she is. Victoria and I usually hit this garden a couple of times a week walking, just for the peacefulness and the serenity here, and just kind of a big smile of, look what's happened compared to what happened 20 years ago when this was just rock and marshland and, again, just scrubland. So, again, I'm very proud of it. And I just welcome Yvonne Giles to be here with such women of recognition. As I said, we had 2 community volunteers that pushed hard to make this a community garden. We had Vice Mayor Yates, who gave me lots of guidance and told me what I needed to do to be a good council member. I had Linda Gorton as my roommate who came in and said, how do I do this? I said, just listen to Isabel, so we'll be okay. But again, it's a wonderful place, a wonderful park, and congratulations to you, Miss Giles, for being a part of this wonderful event and in company with these women. Thank you all.
Thank you, Jennifer. I invite Parks Director and Acting General Services Commissioner Monica Conrad to come to the microphone to talk a bit about the role that nonprofit organizations play in the development of our parks. But before, you can come up. Before she speaks, I want to say that in my opinion, Lexington is so fortunate to have a person of Monica's experience, energy, and vision to direct our Parks Department. She came to Lexington after a long service in the Kentucky Tourism, Arts, and Heritage Cabinet, right? And is up to the challenges of managing parks as well as general services, for which she's acting director right now. I am very grateful that you generously made time for this today, Monica, and we look forward to what your vision is for the parks going forward in this strange time.
Thanks, Ann. Good afternoon, and what a beautiful addition to our park here at Wellington. With over 100 parks in our community, we're always looking for these enhancements for our environment, for people to play, for people to get out and enjoy nature at its best. We cannot achieve these goals without the leadership and vision of Mayor Linda Gorton, our council members that are with us today, our previous Vice Mayor Yates, Yvonne Giles, who I've worked with on a number of projects. It's just amazing how many wonderful people we have here today to celebrate our parks. And certainly America in Bloom with Miss Ann Garrity at the helm. I would be remiss if I didn't thank our parks team who are with us today. Chris Cooper Ryder, Jennifer Hubbard Sanchez, Gary, and Heath are all back there. They make our parks look beautiful every day, and I'm so indebted to them and their service. We learned from the 2018 Parks Master Plan that our citizens wanted more naturalized space and beautiful park spaces to be involved in. We've learned during COVID that our parks and green spaces are more important to our community now more than ever. And we understand that time spent in our parks and in our green spaces improves our physical and our mental health. In addition to American Bloom, we have lots of great partners. The Lexington Women's Garden that was brought up earlier, Victoria Meyer, who's also our Parks Advisory Board Chair, is here with us today. Liz Patton-Gill, who's done so much for us over in Stonewall. The Wild Winds have been a great partner, and I'm sure there are others. The Citizens Environmental Academy is the other one that I wanted to point out. They've done a lot of work here on the stream here in Wellington. And again, it's just having those partners that are willing to come out and volunteer their time and really create that service to our park system. Our parks are certainly better with community involvement and with volunteers. So I invite you to take a look at our website. We've got volunteer opportunities out there for all of our parks and would love to have you involved. Thank you.
So this sign that we finally have is going to be here as an interpretive sign for folks walking through. And you will see that instead of putting what we thought was too much information, we put a QR code on it, which we hope works, that goes to our website where you can find out more information about our community champions, our Coneflower project, and other things. So I invite the mayor and the parks director to untie the ribbon and going to let the zinnias drop their seed and hopefully recreate itself next summer. And we'll help it along if we need to. So what's next? Now that we consider this, thank you. Now that we consider this drift done, we feel like now is the time for us to move to another part of town. We are in discussion with the Parks Department and Councilmember James Brown about where that will be, but we can say with certainty that it will be in the 1st District. So I invite James Brown to come up and tell us how he sees what role he thinks we could play there.
Thank you. And I'll be brief. One thing I told a crowd the other day, COVID is terrible, but I tell you what, we probably had the best weather this year than I can remember in a long time, so thank the Lord for that. But I'm excited to be here today to honor Miss Giles and all she does for our community. A lot of times it's a selfless effort, but I think it's her passion and the fact that she knows how important telling the stories of those that wasn't able to tell the stories themselves will benefit our community, not just the African American community, but Lexington as a whole. So congratulations, Miss Giles, and I appreciate everything that you do for our community. And then I'm excited about all the efforts of America in Bloom and what it means to our community. To beautify areas, it's more than just aesthetics. I think if you help build pride and you help to create ownership and make people feel good about themselves and their community, it just shows in other ways. So I'm excited about hopefully the next Daffodil Drift being in the 1st District, hopefully in one of the neighborhoods that needs maybe more TLC than some of the other neighborhoods that we have in this city. So I'm excited about that and look forward to what's to come. So thank you.
So we need to get daffodils in the ground before frost, so you know that there'll be a decision in the next few weeks. And I like what you said about pride, because one of the motto of American Bloom at the national level is we plant pride. And so we'll plant pride in the 1st District. Thank you all for coming very much. We have water, we have coneflower seeds. Let me quick tell you how to plant coneflower seeds. You go out in your backyard or into a woody area, you open the top off, you put them in your hand, and you throw them into the dirt. And they will come up next spring. At least one will. So, it's easy. All right, so thank you all very much. And help yourself to whatever's on that table.